Hi, so I'm April from Community Indigenous Policing. You guys know that. Just want to say thank you for coming today to talk to us and for being here at RCMP Headquarters. And Arlene, do you want to tell us who you are?
Yeah, my name is Arlene Blanchard White, and I'm from a small town on the west coast of Newfoundland, Shell Cove. I'm Mi'kmaq, very proud of it, and my ancestry comes from my mom and my dad, but not my dad's father's side. Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah. And I'm Mutchie Bennett, and I grew up just a few miles down the road from Arlene, and we're actually family. Our Benoit family came from Flat Bay, so that's my lineage, and I'm also very, very happy to be here. This is an honor to be here with you guys.
Well, we're honored to have you. So I guess we asked you just to talk a little bit about what the Sweat Lodge is, and so that our members of the RCMP and our employees will be more familiar with it and know what it's all about. So you just, I guess,
Ladies first.
Ladies first. So Sweat Lodge is one of our older ceremonies where we construct the lodge. It's like a dome style, and we refer to it as you're crawling back into the womb of Mother Earth. It's made with alders, and the alders are bent over to make the dome with an opening in the eastern door, because we're the keepers of the eastern door. And the lodge is a place where we go and pray in the old ways, and in our culture, the only thing that we can give back to our Earth Mother is our sweat. So we go back we crawl into the womb of Mother Earth to give back our sweat and to pray in the old ways. I'm sure you can add.
Yeah, we're so humbled to be a part of Sweat Lodge and to be conductors of Sweat Lodge. But it's from the ancient times, and it's a cleansing from the inside out. And like Arlene said, you're giving up what you have of yourself, your skin, your flesh, your sweat, your body. And so it gets warm. We call it good. So it gets really good in there sometimes, but we're suffering for a little bit. It's more about the prayer than it is the suffering. But we are praying and suffering for those that are struggling with their breath, or with throat cancer, or whatever, lung disease. We're suffering for people that are in burn units. We're suffering for people that have PTSD or other mental issues, and we pray as a community, no matter who shows up. Our prayers are individual or as a community sometimes, but we're backing up, reinforcing each other's prayers, not repeating. The prayer it's how you feel right at that moment when you have the opportunity to pray. So we do 4 rounds. You can leave between rounds, or you can leave at any time if someone is uncomfortable or overcome mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. Before you get to the state where you're in a panic mode or something, you can call for the door, you can go out and come back in, or you can just have the door open and sit still for a while. So it's all those things. Sweat Lodge, to me, it's our church, even though we don't have a church, but it's our place to go and pray. It's our library. It's our history room. It's our healing room. It's our hospital. It's our place to support others that may not even be there. They may be hundreds of miles away. And it's a place, and it's become a place to cleanse for not just Native peoples, but all races are coming to our Sweat Lodge and looking for help that they may not be able to get somewhere else. So yeah, it's wonderful.
So if someone wanted to participate, would they prepare to come to a Sweat Lodge?
Prepare your mind. Basically, forget everything that you know and come in with a good mind and a good heart, and just come in with no expectations, just come in that you're going to pray with the community, you're there for support, you're going to give whatever you need to the grandfathers so that the grandfathers can take that, whatever you have to give. You hydrate is an important part because you're sweating all the water out of your body, so hydration is a big part. Prepared mentally is that you're going to go and it's going to be warm inside, but it's okay. It's a safe place. There's no judgment. Whatever happens inside that sweat lodge stays in the sweat lodge. It's our safe space. So open mind, open heart, and drink lots of water. It's the best things to prepare.
So what would I wear?
So for women, we would we wear our long skirts and a t-shirt, and generally a sports bra underneath. We don't wear any shoes into the lodge because we're crawling back into the womb of Mother Earth. Just like when you came out with nothing. So the women wear long skirts just to respect our own gender. The men wear shorts and just shorts, no t-shirts or whatever. You can talk more about the men, but yeah, for women we wear our long skirts to represent our gender.
And like you say, you climb down into it. So like when it's inside, like what's the atmosphere like? What are you seeing or hearing or?
That's a personal thing. My experiences over the years is going to be different from yours. One thing that might be the same as my first sweat, I was anxious. I was having anxiety, and not about how warm it might get, but I got to expose my personal prayer, my heart, into there was maybe 35 people in the sweat lodge that day, and I had to express my deepest thoughts and prayers and concerns for me and for loved ones, and I was having a tough time with that, and maybe a little bit too about the experience for the first time, so I was having some anxiety. And then the lodge keeper asked if I would be the person to handle and bring in the grandfathers for the ceremony, and then my anxiety just went through the roof. Like, I know what it is before, and what if I mess up? But no, and like Arlene said, you come with a good heart, there's some protocols, for ladies and for men, and for everyone. It's the ways that we were taught. You have to be 4 days clean of drugs and alcohol, and come with a good heart, and really no expectations, other than this could really be something good.
And I guess it would be dark inside, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So when you crawl in, because it's on the ground, so when you crawl in, when you first go in the lodge, you say all my relations are Umsiknogama in our language, and what that is, it's you're introducing yourself, and you're letting the lodge know that you're here. And the hardest prayer to stand up to is all my relations are Umsiknogama. So you crawl in, and the women in our culture, the women sit on one side and the men sit on the other, so the women would always crawl in first, and then the men after, and then we're all sitting around. There's a pit in the middle, and that's where the grandfathers or the rocks will come in when we do bring them in. And while the door is open, you can see everyone, but once the door goes down, it's pitch black. You can't see anything. So generally people have anxiety once that door is shut, because it's the unknown. You're sitting in your complete darkness, and you have to deal with your own internal thoughts and not knowing what's going to happen, and you have to calm your own mind down. It's like, okay, we're in a safe place, and nothing bad is going to happen to me in here, and it's your own internal emotions, because as humans, we're not used to showing our emotions, and we're not used to stepping into the unknown. So once that door comes down, you have to convince your mind that you're going to be okay, and just breathe deep. And I mean, we think of all the people that have suffered long before us to get us here to this point, that we can even do these ceremonies, especially in St. John's at the RCMP Headquarters, that we're doing this. How many people had to suffer and work so hard to get us here today? So the least we can do is give a couple hours in a sweat lodge to honor that.
Yeah.
So how long does it last? Like you say, a couple hours? Or it doesn't matter?
It really depends on how heavy the prayers are.
Yeah.
You know, someone may be having a hard time, and then it's felt by everyone, and everyone is trying to support that person. If you could say usually, it would probably be 2 hours. The rounds might be about 20 or 25 or 30 minutes each, but then there's maybe 10 minutes in between rounds that we can hydrate and have a little chat, and then bring in the new grandfathers and start that round again. We do that 4 times. So, but depending on who's the conductor, or how many's in the lodge, or what the ceremony was called for, what was the reason for the ceremony, it could be 4 or 5 hours.
Depending on how much the conductor got to say.
Yeah. So someone that's very like anxious or not really sure about being in there would probably some strangers at some point. Like, can people keep their prayers to themselves, or do they have to release them and speak, or what would you prefer?
They can,
if
they really need to, but usually because we go in as strangers and we come back out as brothers and sisters, you know. But if you're praying to yourself, sometimes you might be praying, jeepers, you know, that guy that cut me off this morning, I hope he got 4 flat tires. We don't do that. It's all positive prayers, positive. So if you pray out loud, everyone else is feeling and hearing your prayer and supporting your prayer. If somebody insisted that they need to pray in private, then we would be okay with that, but it's not the norm. Yeah.
And once you get in the lodge, once you get in and you listen to everyone else opening up and saying their prayers, it gives you that courage. It's like, oh, well, everyone else can do it, I can do it too. And in the lodge, it's all about respect for one another. There's no judgment. It's not a strong man or strong woman's competition. It's all about praying in the old ways. And when we say pray, we don't mean like a Catholic church prayer. Like it's from the heart. I might say, oh my God, I hope April has a good run up the mountain this week when she's going up for a hike. That might be my prayer. Like it's from your heart. So it's not rehearsed. And once people realize that it's not a rehearsed, it could be anything. We all have personal issues. It could be about your mom or your dad or COVID and once you find out that it's just our everyday living, then people get that comfort level, and then they all want to share at the end of it, and sometimes emotions come out and you get emotional, and that's okay, because it's a safe place for it, right?
And sometimes that emotion can be laughter, and that just ignites inside the lodge sometimes.
Usually the first 2 rounds are pretty serious and pretty, because the first round would pray for the women, first round is the children, second round is women, third round is men, and then the 4th round is for us. But usually the first 2 rounds are generally the heavier rounds, and then after the 3rd round and 4th round, people are usually pretty giddy and laughing.
Well, more comfortable, I guess.
Right?
So
Yeah.
They're not so anxious. So.
Yeah. So the atmosphere tends to change a little bit in there.
Now it's important to say too that these are the ways that we learned. Someone from another nation or from a Mi'kmaq nation that went to South Dakota or Ontario or Manitoba, they may have learned and earned ceremony off different elders, and that's fine and accepted as well. We've been to several, you know, from other nations, but what the elders told us is you pray to the fire that you're at, meaning you pray the way of the person that's the conductor of the ceremony. So and the conductor of the ceremony is sort of responsible for the ceremony in a way. So you just key off of, okay, this is what we're praying for this round, so I'm going to limit my prayers and channel that towards the female entities of life or the children and whatever, and it makes it go a lot smoother. Every so often you'll get someone inside that's wants to solve the world's problems or whatever, so we usually jiggle the splasher in the bucket a little bit and Then if they don't catch on, we'll start with a little splash or 2 or 3 in a row.
Tell them to move on.
Just a gentle nudge, you know. So it's
Yes.
yeah. But listening to Arlene talk about the sweat lodge and all that makes me really excited to be doing one in an hour or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So I guess the thing is it could be different anywhere, so people shouldn't be afraid to ask questions, and
Absolutely not.
you know, it's all learning for everybody, and that's what we're all here for.
Yeah.
That's how we learn, by asking questions. I mean, Mutchie's been mentoring me for, oh my God, well over 10 years, and I'm a question person. I need to know why. So every time he told me I had to do something, he'd be, well, why do I have to do that? So, I mean, we all have to learn. I wasn't born with all this knowledge, and it, you know, it took me a lifetime to get where I am today. So if I didn't ask questions, I would never know what I know now. So what you don't know if you don't know, so ask questions.
Yeah, and I was real lucky, you know, while I lived in Nova Scotia, I fell in with some guys on reserve that, gee, there was maybe 3 or 4 different sweat lodges that we could go to in the run of a week. Sometimes more if there was, you know, a lot of prayers asked for. But they became my support network as well. And just like I've got other elders, and so does Arlene over on the mainland and here in the province. Like Mizell Joe, you know, is our go-to person. He's been appointed, you know, from the Mi'kmaq Grand Council as our cultural spiritual leader for the province. So we don't do anything other than normal, you know, without having a discussion with him. If there's a question asked that we can't answer, or a situation that we're not sure of, we'll call up our network of elders and have a talk and work it out. So we're still learning as well. I've only been on this path for almost 22, 23 years, but still learning, and hopefully always will. You know, it's about the journey as well. You know, nobody's ever going to know it all, but if we share what we know, we're gonna find enough that we're gonna hand over a better, hopefully, family and community than the one we inherited. And so that's where we're at. Okay, you got 2 pieces of paper. How much questions you got?
No, I think we got everything covered, but
Wow.
I don't know, it's really nice to have you guys here just to talk about what, like, the ceremony and what it all means, and I think, like, I know when I did it, it felt so, like, I was cleansed, and, like, just mental health wise, it's like, it's just so, it was just so good, like, it's good for the soul. And,
Absolutely.
I can't say enough that our lodge is a safe space. Like, once you go in the lodge, and what's said in the lodge stays in the lodge, and healing is very important. It's important to us too as conductors, because if we're not healthy, then we couldn't be doing this work. So everyone that comes in has something to share, and that's why we encourage people to all share their prayers and their talk, because we might learn something from you, what you're saying in the lodge. So that's why we encourage each other to share, because we all have gifts to share, and I think it's important as a society that we all have a place, because too much in society there's so many levels of titles, and you have this role and that role. It's about that equality. So when we sit in the lodge, we sit in a circle, and we're all equal. So it's that safe space. So everyone is afraid to try something new, but if I could encourage anyone to try this sweat lodge ceremony, it changed my life. It changed who I was, and it brings you that renowned sense of purity, of just like mental wellness, because when you come out, you feel like you just shed 2 layers of skin and you're a brand new person. And it's beautiful, and it's great for mental wellness, which we all need in our lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got nothing else to add to that, because that was
That's
just
a first.
Thanks for that, Arlene. But that's you know how we do it. We do things in the old ways, and we were taught that if you follow the basic, not structure is not the right word, but the way of doing the ceremonies, then it'll be done in 100 years the same way it was 100 years earlier.
Yeah.
And so all those hundreds of years adds up to thousands of years. And
That's an important point you're hitting on too, is that you don't just do a sweat lodge and tomorrow do your own. Like, it's been years of fasting. Like, I've done 4 fast, 4 days and 4 nights out in the woods with Mutchie mentoring me, just to earn the pipe and then earn the sweat lodge ceremony. And Mutchie, you can talk about your journey as well, but it's not an overnight process, and it takes so long to learn and earn these ways, because we want to make sure that it's the same traditions and culture that our ancestors have been doing for the past 500 years. We want to make sure that we're passing that down to the next 7 generations, and taking the time to learn and hearing it. It takes 7 times to hear something before you really understand it.
Yeah.
So being mentored by an elder, like what she's been mentoring me for years, it helps me build the confidence to be able to make sure that I'm doing it the same way he did it and his teachers did it, and so on and so on.
Yeah. And we never conduct a ceremony that we didn't earn. Like, if we do this style of ceremony, if I was going to do, because I know some of my good friends and elders in Eskasoni do a ceremony style that's slightly different, but I'm not gonna take on their ceremony. I would have to earn it, you know. It would be like stealing. But in the world that we live in, you know, sometimes people are anxious and they wanna be thought of as a lodge conductor or whatever, and without going through the proper mentoring, you know, and earning, then someone can get hurt. And so we try to protect our lodge and our ceremony because of that. And you know, the things that are meant to last forever, they're not just assumed, you know, quickly. There's no fast path to this. So I think that's an important consideration. But for me, like, I got up this morning and before my feet hit the floor, it was, yay, we're sweating today, you know. This is going to be a great day. And we say jokingly, because sometimes in the summer, after a sweat, we go looking for a curly comb machine. You know, the soft serves. You call them curly combs in the old days. Old days, right? So, okay, yes. So we say that there's, you know, like, how was the ceremony? Was it good and all that? Some people might ask us, and we say it's like a curly comb. There's no bad curly combs. There's no bad sweat lodge ceremony. So, anyways, yeah.
Nice. Well, I think that's it. So, thank you so much for being able to speak, and
Awesome.
Thank you so much. This is very, very awesome, and I hope it does good for someone or a group of someone's. It don't do harm, and everyone's welcome. That's very important. Everyone's welcome.
And you don't have to actually crawl in the lodge to get something out of it. If you just want to come around and sit around the fire, or sit around the lodge, or just ask questions to the firekeepers outside, you'll get just as much as if you're in the lodge too.
yeah.
So we just encourage everyone to come and be open and learn and share and just be human.
It's a great way to end it.
That's a wrap.
Thanks so much.